Good evening, afternoon, everyone. Welcome to The Works. This is actually episode 2. So we are, I guess for the first month or so, we are actually producing episodes for the podcast. Is out of sync right now. So the episodes are not in production order. Per se, like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, etc. So please forgive me for the mess, but hopefully we will straighten it all out by the time we get into the month of May, to where we will continue to, get this straight, and we'll be back in production order. So we did have our second segment of the works earlier today. We had a great guest today. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been tuning in to this podcast for the last 5 years. This is actually my 15th year in podcasting. Started back in 2007 when I was living in Fredericksburg, Virginia. That's when I started podcasting. And at that time, Block Talk Radio was the most popular podcasting platform that existed. So now you have a whole lot of them. You got Spotify, you got Anchor, you can do podcasting on YouTube, you can do Facebook Live, you can do Zoom. I think there's Vimeo, there's Daily Motion, Mixcloud. It's just so many. I mean, you can even do recordings on Instagram as well as your multi-streaming platforms like Restream and StreamYard. So it's a whole lot of platforms that you can use to host your podcast. And so as we continue this journey into podcasting, we will move to more platforms that have more features. So for now, in the month of April, I decided to return to podcasting. And because we don't have enough platforms, media platforms, rather, to where people are able to share their stories and to present news and information that the people are talking about. Because there's a lot of things that these grassroots podcasts are talking about that not even talking about on the mainstream media. Fortunately, in terms of elder abuse, we had the opportunity to break out into mainstream media locally in order to bring awareness to elder abuse. And so this particular podcast setting would be no exception to the rule that we will have a segment or several segments containing elder abuse sometime in May or June. So we definitely want you to stay tuned to that. But as far as the Osterlid Broadcast Section is concerned, here's what's happening. We've been sporadically having episodes taped and produced, mostly on Blog Talk Radio. So that's the audio portion. Since that time, there's a lot of platform technology that came out, and we decided to move to a more audio visual type of thing. And so that's how we ended up here on Zoom. So basically we are testing this platform for to see how people will respond to it. And after post-production and everything, these episodes or segments of our podcast will be featured on Facebook, YouTube, Daily Motion, and Anchor FM. So Anchor FM is basically you have an audio So all of our recordings that we have on Zoom, not only do they create a video file, but they also create an audio file. And so with that audio file, we're able to, like, dress it up and go do some post-production things, and we're able to post it on Anchor. And so we have a video portion, and then there's an audio file that's also created as well. So we're able to do the audio podcast as well as the video podcast. And all of these are being recorded for now, and then they're going to be posted on these various platforms. But starting in June, we will be using platforms like StreamYard and Restream. And these podcasts will actually be episodes, rather, will be actually live. These will be actually live, as it happens. And so with that, they're going to be streamed on multiple platforms like YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Dailymotion, Mixcloud, the whole 9 yards, that we're going to have these broadcasts. And it's going to be really wonderful because on Restream and StreamYard, you are able to set aside time for commercials. So if you have a business, you run for office, you have a nonprofit, or you have a public service announcement, once we get on those platforms, you'll be able to create a commercial, and we're able to air that commercial. So in the times that we do interviews, we will be able to pause to have some type of commercial announcement. And that would be a way that the podcast will be making money. Now, there is another platform that we plan to go on. It's called Acorn, and it's an audio podcast, and like Anchor FM, but with Acorn, you're able to go and stream on other audio related platforms like Spotify, Amazon, and I believe it's iTunes. So we will be using that for if people wanted to listen to us on the go, but also Restream and StreamYard if they actually want to see us, in living color, the video part. So we're in conversation about that, the network rather, and we're looking to have a June date in mind, sometime in June or later on this summer, that we plan on doing that. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to spread to a greater audience. We know that everybody does not go on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or things of this nature, but they also have other platforms that people use that we might not even heard of. So we want to reach as many people as we possibly can using multiple platforms, whether it's audio or visual or both. That's what we planned on doing. And the best part about this is that wherever we record it live, it's going to go live on all of those platforms at the same time. So we will have our nationwide audience listening to and or watch us all at the same time. And so that is the great part about these multiple platforms like Restream and StreamYard. So you'll be able to do that. So that is the next step for us. Now we will continue to operate on Zoom. So, and that platform, Restream and StreamYard, we'll be able to continue our broadcast on Zoom. The only difference is that they won't be recorded broadcasts for us to play at a later date. These will actually be live broadcasts. And so that is one of the things that we are looking at for either in June or sometime this summer, early summer or midsummer things of that nature. And so that is the path that we're going right now. So in the future. So right now we're just doing the Zoom option where we are recording our podcast, and then we go back and do a few tweaks and a few edits, and we add some things, we take some things away. And after that's done, then we will post it on Facebook and YouTube. We have Daily Motion, and we have Anchor FM for the audio portion. For those of you who like to use Anchor to listen to your podcast, we will offer the audio portion of the podcast on Anchor FM. So that is what we're doing right now. We had several delays because of, several things that's been happening to me on a personal basis, but I am determined to get back to podcasting. When we first started, we had over 1,100 people that tuned in every week to our podcast. And that kind of like dropped down a little bit as we started doing sporadically. So hopefully we will be able to return to that type of greatness as well, to where we can have 1,100 people listening every week. I don't know why I, decided, not to do this on, a full-time basis, but, you live and learn. But we are back. And this segment is kind of give an idea of which direction OBS is going and the type of podcast that we will have here. So let's break that down for you. So basically right now we are dealing with two podcasts right now. One of them is called The Works, and The Works is kind of like your general interest show where, we talk about anything and everything that people are talking about, whether it's business or politics, arts, culture, society, lifestyle, tech, or whatever. So this is a general interest show, and from time to time, we will have guests that are, to come on, that are experts in those fields, and they will be on a weekly basis. Technically, the show would be on Sundays at 6 p.m. Central Time. So each week. So once we get the continuity straight and we get the production order back in order, then this would be a weekly broadcast on Sundays at 6 p.m. And also too, on right now for a monthly basis, and we probably will have more programs, is OBS Talk Show Present. We already had one episode that we have taped, already, and is I don't think right. And yeah, that broadcast is available on Facebook, YouTube, Daily Motion, and Anchor FM. If you go to the Osterlid Broadcast Section Facebook page, you will find information about how to have access to those podcast episodes. So that's the first podcast. Second one is OBS Talk Show Presents. And this is where we have, it can be one guest, it can be two or three, or what have you. And we break down a major story, or we break down a hot topic that everybody is talking about. And those would normally be, so that would be an afternoon broadcast. We started having the Works at, wait a minute, no, that the I made a mistake. The Works will be at 2:30 Central Time, from 2:30 to 3:30, and then Talk Show Presents would be at 6 o'clock. So there'll be a 6 o'clock show, and that's Central Time. So again, the Works would be normally shown at 2:30, and it's 6 o'clock. It'll be OBS Talk Show Present. And right now we're making that a week, not a weekly, but a monthly broadcast. But as we get more guests that wants to come on the show, then we'll probably end up making it a weekly broadcast, probably in June. It just depends on how many requests that we are getting. And so we will keep you informed of that on the OBS Facebook page. So, and both of those times are central. So right now we got the works at 2:30 and Talk Show Presents at 6 o'clock. Now, sometimes we will have like 2 episodes of the works on the same day, like a Sunday. Like we'll have a 2:30 show and then we'll have a 6 o'clock show. Let's keep in mind, Talk Show Presents right now is on a monthly basis, but that could change. And if so, that would go into the 6 p.m. slot. And then if we have like an impromptu episode of the works, then we would find another time for that. But you would be informed well ahead of time when that's going to be. So we're not going to leave you out, in the dark. I know things are kind of looking kind of scraggly right now in terms of our podcast is concerned. But the reason why we're doing this and bombarding people with these podcasts right now, because we're letting people know that, hey, we're back on the air. And we want people to tune in. And because of that, the OBS Facebook page is getting a lot of hits. It's growing in popularity. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep things going by posting news stories locally, statewide, and nationwide. We want to do that because we want to keep people engaged. I think that's something that we have not, done because, even when OBS had this Facebook page, we didn't post anything news-wise. We just post information about our podcast. Well, we started to do the news part because, again, our podcast is about news and information. In those categories I just mentioned: arts, entertainment, business, tech, political, and those personal life-changing stories. And so we are evolving, and hopefully that we will have our own news department as well, to where we will have actual reporters and correspondents. That's my future. We don't know when. I don't know when that's going to happen, but that is my dream, to have our own news department. But for now, we just kind of share news and information from other sources, and that we will have a podcast, dedicated to particular news. We would also have a hot topic segment as well, to where we talk about those pressing news stories and issues, whether it's local level or state level, regional, and even national, that we plan on doing that as well. And that's the basis of the Talk Show Presents podcast. That's what we're going to do. And as I said earlier, that would be, we started out as a monthly thing, but as time go on, it would eventually become a weekly thing. So those are the 2 podcasts that we have at this point. Future podcasts would include the return of the author showcase. I really enjoyed that one because we had a lot of authors in the past that contacted the station, and because they needed publicity for the books that they have published. So we did that as well, and that has gotten a great audience. And what they'll do is that they'll actually send me a copy of the book, whether it's the actual hard copy, or they'll send me an electronic copy of the book, so I can kind of be on one page with them and to kind of know exactly what the book is talking about. So I was able to formulate questions for that, and that did pretty well. And so the author showcase will return. I don't have a date for that. That's our third. podcasts. The fourth one, of course, would be How Great God Is. It would be a weekly message that I'll be preaching. I'll be using the online platform, to do that on a weekly basis, in addition to uh, our church duties. So be on the lookout for that as well. And let's see. So those are the 4 podcasts that we would originally have. Now, there will be a 5th one, and there has been a 5th one. It's called Love Yourself with Pat Bell. It's been produced by OBS, and we are in conversations with the host to have her show brought back. We did several episodes already, kind of tested out and as a pilot, and it did pretty well. So we want to bring it back. I don't have a date to when the podcast will actually return, but just know the podcast will return. It's an independent podcast. Has nothing to do with me per se. I'm, not the host. There is a host, but OBS will be producing it as we did the last couple of pilot episodes. I think that it was done last year, and it worked out pretty well. They are available on YouTube, on the OBS channel on YouTube. So check that out. And starting next week, the episodes that we did record, it will be available on Daily Motion, YouTube, and Anchor. So just tune into our Facebook page, Osterlid Broadcast Section, and look out for those podcast episodes. So that's the online portion of it. Now, another thing that I am working on is that we're actually going to build a terrestrial station, radio station. It's like a regular radio station that we're planning on building. We have to get some more equipment that needs to be purchased in order to make this happen. So this terrestrial radio station will actually be what is called a Part 15 radio station, as defined by the Federal Communications Commission. And what that is that this is a very low power radio station that operates from either with a mile to about 3 miles at the latest. A lot of people call it a micro broadcast station, or they may call it a community radio station. And the purpose of that is to, again, it's another outlet for, people to share news and information, especially the news and information that the mainstream media normally don't cover. And so our location will be determined. Has not been determined yet, but once it's set up and everything, it would be operated within a 3-mile radius. Now in Birmingham, Alabama, which the terrestrial station will originate from, 3 miles, a 3-mile radius, you're talking about at least 10,000 people. That's a lot of people. We're in an urban area. And so the population density is high. And when that happens, is that a radio station that covers a 3-mile radius is going to cover a lot of people. And so this would be more localized. But the good thing is that when our podcasts come, live, listeners would be able to listen from that terrestrial radio station. The way that we would set up the automation is that they would be able to catch those podcasts on the radio station, as well as if you're on your smartphone or you have your computer with an internet connection. So everybody would be able to listen and or watch all at the same time. I'm very fantastic about that. So we're taking podcasting to a whole new level to where locally we will reach roughly 10,000 people plus. But on the internet, we'll be able to reach thousands, maybe millions of people worldwide. And we will have an app. We will have an app to where we, you can download it from either Google or the Apple Play Store, where you'll be able to take all of our podcasts with you wherever you go. So no matter where you go in the country, you'll be able to listen and or watch us online, whether it's originating from the radio station we're going to set up or on the platform Restream and StreamYard. So we're very excited about that. Again, please keep your eye on the OBS Osterlid Broadcast Section Facebook page for more information about when that terrestrial radio station is going to be. We will have a web page specifically for that, as well as a web page for all of our podcasts and the whole 9 yards. So that's in the works. We're continuing to build that. I'm so excited about what is happening. Now, depending on the part of the dial that we're on, will determine whether or not we're able to post commercials. So let me give an example of that. Now from 87.7 to about 90.9, that's on the left side of the FM spectrum. According to FCC rules, you are not allowed to broadcast commercial. Now, anything from 91.1 to 107.9, which is on the right side of the spectrum, the FM spectrum, you are allowed to post commercials. And so depending on an unused frequency that we will find in the Birmingham area will determine whether or not we're able to air commercials. Now, if we find a spot on the dial that we're not able to air commercials, what we can do is that we can have like what you call acknowledgments or sponsorships. It's just what it is, just an announcement or a shout out about your business, but you can't really go into great detail about that business, meaning that you can't make a comparison, you can't talk about pricing, you can't give a whole lot of descriptive language on that. It's just an acknowledgement or a sponsorship, kind of like if you listen to National Public Radio or if you watch public broadcasting service, that kind of gives you an example of what I'm talking about, what I mean about an announcement or acknowledgement or a sponsorship. So that we will have to play by ear. It's going to be a massive advertising campaign for this project, this Part 15 terrestrial radio station that we plan on setting up. And so I'm very glad to be back in podcasting, spending a little bit more time on that. And we hope that it becomes a big thing here locally as well as nationally, that people would feel that they have another place that they can go to get news and information that they really need to know that the mainstream media is really not talking about, or they don't spend enough time on. So that is the purpose of OBS, Osterlid Broadcast Section. We want to provide people with a real voice, a voice that they can trust, that's impartial, unbiased, and nonpartisan. So even though I identify with a political party, what we're trying to do does not have anything to do with whatever political party that I'm affiliated with. So that's why, for example, when we have candidates coming on, we're not doing any endorsements at all. I've seen that happen from several podcasts that they actually endorse people while they're on the air. And so I am not going to do that. That's not what we are about. We're not endorsing candidates. We're just making sure that political candidates who are running for office have a platform to where they can reach the voters. And the voters can decide who they want to choose. It's none of my business. We just want to put the information out there. So this is what our immediate future plans for the Osterlid Broadcast Section. And again, that our Facebook page is Osterlid Broadcast Section on Facebook in all lowercase letters. That's where you'll find more information about this network, our project, the podcast, the whole 9 yards. So, and please like and share. We are kind of getting the rough ends out right now, but once we do that and start taking off, the audience is going to be phenomenal. The numbers are going to go up, and we'll be right up there with several other grassroots podcasts that are out there that are about the narrative of the people, information and news that people are talking about that they need to know that the mainstream media is either not talking about it or they spend very little time reporting. So that is what we're looking at right now as far as future, immediate future plans that we have for this network. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. We have some great guests that would be on, and people are steadily contacting us. And we're going to be talking about a whole variety of things on these podcasts. So I hope that you will tune in. But now you can tune in on Zoom, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Daily Motion, and Anchor FM. And in the future, we will do the LinkedIn's, the Mixclouds, the Spotify, iTunes, Apple. We'll be hitting those pretty soon as well. So until next time, y'all take care, and we'll see you on the next episode.